Hello again, and welcome back to the Bad Luck Club podcast. This is episode 3, I believe, although we've made quite a few and only uploaded, I think, 3 of them, one of them being episode 0, so really this is episode 4. We're calling it episode 3. You get the gist. This is essentially going to be an audio only episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you're just going to see me sitting here with sunglasses on because my ring light is really bright, and also because I'm reading just like stuff I've written down, and I don't want to sit here and look like I'm just staring at like my other monitor and not at the camera. So this is what you get. Today I'm the only host. It's just me, Jimmy. All the other hosts tragically died, unfortunately, over the last month. It's been a rough month for the podcast. It's been a rough month. We just released our long lost video episode. Everything was going great, and then tragedy struck. Who do I start with? I don't know. It's just such a touchy subject. Chace, our dear friend Chace. He was like the tech guy. Sorry, is my phone going off? He was like the signature tech guy. He had the laptop in the video episode, if you saw that. And he was like, an essential part of the crew and as a host, obviously. And he, one day he was just out playing golf and he got hit by a golf cart. And it's really sad, man. I mean, he was a really good dude, and that golf cart just didn't see him. He was just out there having a nice 18, nice round of 18, as the golf people say, and he was tragically struck and killed by a golf cart, driven by I don't know who it was. It's some local celebrity or something. Maybe Bruce Springsteen. I forget who it is. Lives in Jersey. But he's dead. So unfortunately, he won't be joining us for the remainder of the podcast episodes. Who else? We have Matt. Matt, as mentioned in the previous episode, works for the government. They found out about this podcast and they killed him, just like JFK. He's gone. I can't say much more than that because I don't want to. I obviously don't want to further incriminate myself. I've already now include. I'm already involved with him being on this podcast and being friends for years, one of my childhood friends, and it's pretty sad that the government just took him out like that. But hey, man, I get it. You gotta protect your secrets. Gotta do what you gotta do. So that's fair game, I guess. Now Robby. Robby is somebody who I thought was an essential cast member of the host crew of the Bad Love Club podcast. He was one that usually kind of kept conversations going. Most of us are pretty awkward, and he just kind of like kept conversation flowing pretty nice. Matt was really good at that too. I just kind of sat there and just like smiled and like fixed my shirt. If you watch the video episode, I like touched my shirt about 500 times. And Robby was actually on his way to see our first sponsor. He was flying, and the plane went down. It's really, really, really crazy. Like, obviously they say it's safer to swim in the ocean, but you're more likely to get attacked by a shark in the ocean than it is for a plane to go down. But it's in the name, bad luck. The plane just went down, and the craziest part of the whole thing is that everybody survived except for him. And it's just like, it doesn't make sense. You look at things like that, look at events like that have happened, across the world, and why? Just like, why did that happen like that? Why did everybody survive except for him? It makes me think like maybe he had some like dark secret, and God was like, no, like this is the final stand, like the final straw, like you're out of here. Everybody else is fine. Like that was just his excuse to take him out, was the plane. But like, yeah, everybody else is innocent, but like you're, I don't know. He's got some demons, man. I don't know. Maybe that's why. So rest in peace to the entire crew of the Bad Luck Club podcast. It's just me now. I'm all you got. So I'm gonna be uploading a episode every Sunday until we find some new hosts or hosts come back from the dead. So that is why the title of this episode is Now Hiring, because we are now looking for 3 or 4 permanent hosts of the Bad Luck Club podcast. 4 so that I can stop showing up, and then we can just kind of have this thing on autopilot. But 3 would be okay too. I don't mind showing up sometimes. If I just had to show up and just kind of like, whatever, talk about some stuff and just kind of be weird on camera for 30 minutes to an hour. That would be fine too. But hopefully we can find 4 people. That way I can just not show up at all. Or if by some chance the other members are seeing this from the other side and they'd like to come back and have another go at it, they're welcome to do so for next week's episode, which will be recorded on Saturday night and uploaded Sunday, which I'll hopefully keep that going. So before I get into like what kind of qualities I'm looking for in a new host, there are a few things I'd like to address. First of all, we're now on Spotify, which is exciting. I finally fixed our RSS thing, which, by the way, I've been paying for like 3 or 4 years, since 2018, so 4 years now. I've been paying for an RSS feed for podcasts, which is, if you don't know what that is, basically you upload your podcast there, and then it re-uploads it, redistributes it to like all these other websites. When we started, it used to redistribute it to Google Play Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, I believe, or I think Cast FM it used to be called, or is called now, and then SoundCloud. So they've since changed who they're like partnered with, or who I guess cooperates with them, or whatever it is, at least to my knowledge, because everything's different when I went to the website. And now it'll auto upload to, I think, just Spotify, maybe Apple. I think I applied to or Amazon Podcasts as well. So perhaps it's on Amazon. We may be on Amazon Podcasts. I honestly have no idea. I haven't checked, but for sure we're on Spotify, which is really exciting. That's something we all wanted, So in honor of the fallen members, we are now on Spotify. So please go check us out there. It's really, really exciting stuff. We're still going to be on Apple Podcasts. We actually have quite a few listeners on the first episode there, and we have some good ratings on there, but I don't know how to upload to Apple Podcasts, so I'm going to try to figure that out before next episode, but possibly for this episode. So maybe you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, but I don't know a single person that uses Apple Podcasts, so I don't know. Spotify is the big one. I'm really excited about that. I manually upload to SoundCloud. I re-uploaded all of our old episodes. The original one was still there, but I re-uploaded the ones that are on YouTube now. Spotify, I believe, has all 3 episodes as well. And Castbox, I don't even know how to log into that. It's not linked to my RSS feed anymore. I don't know how to do that, so I guess that's just a big RIP. But yeah, Spotify, that's pretty cool. That's big stuff. It used to be kind of hard to get on Spotify. I think it's pretty easy now if we can get on there, but or me, I guess. There is no we anymore, after the accidents. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. And as far as, again, other changes, I'm going to try to keep these every Sunday. There'll be a video exclusive episode on YouTube, and then we'll have the audio only on Spotify, Apple, if I can figure it out. But for sure, Spotify, SoundCloud, and then the regular RSS feed, website or whatever. I don't know. I don't know shit about this. I applied this like sponsor website or app, or I forget what it's called, Podcorn. Podcorn is basically a way for like smaller podcasts. I'm not sure if big podcasts use it. Probably not. Probably people reach out to them. But it's basically a way to like reach out and get sponsors. So I was like, fuck it, I'll sign up for it, because the RSS feed was like, hey, sign up for Podcorn. So I signed up for it, and it's like, hey, promote this like really sketchy like fitness program. Which, sorry, by the way, if sometime in the next few weeks we end up promoting a really sketchy fitness program, just pretend I never said that. But promote this sketchy fitness program for $20. $20 for one episode. That's crazy, dude. I mean, I guess like for a smaller podcast, I mean, it's whatever, but that's, you need like a minimum of like 1,000 listens or downloads or whatever, on one singular platform to even qualify for it. And $20, like, what is even the point of that? I mean, in our case, it would be splitting it $5 each. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. Like, why would we do that? I guess it kind of gets your foot in the door with I don't know, man. It's just weird. Sponsors are weird. I got sponsors for Twitch and stuff, and they're really weird. The way they work, and they're just not distributables, deliverables. The deliverables that you have to do, and they give you very specific ways on how to do things and how to say things and how to promote their product or game or whatever it is. And it's always very interesting. It's like a whole world I didn't know existed. Now that I've been introduced to it through Twitch, and now through Podcorn. It's just weird the way these people, like, some of them are like, it's like you have to do an hour like section about like this product, and you get paid $15 if you have 1,000 downloads. So you have to make a whole episode about a product, pretty much, if you're because most podcasts are like an hour minimum, 30 minutes, somewhere around there. So an hour episode about a singular product. That's fucking wild and totally not worth $15, like, at all. So I don't know how. I mean, I'm pretty desperate though. So I mean, like, if you're watching this, and you offer sponsorships on Podcorn, I will take literally even for $1. I'll take it. I really don't care. Just hit me up, either on Podcorn, which I think is just at Bad Luck Club, or whatever. I don't know where I was going with that. So now, some other news. Elden Ring won Game of the Year, which is super exciting for me. I love Elden Ring. Elden Ring is a game that I actually poured a ton of hours into it. The first time I ever did that, or the first time I've done that in a long time, I should say, because there's been times where I've kind of dumped some hours into games and gotten excited for a game, or really enjoyed something. But really, it's been a long time. And Elden Ring, back in February when that came out, was the first time in years that's happened to me where I just genuinely enjoyed a game beginning to end. Like, I just loved every second of it. And, I was really rooting for it in the Game of the Year. I know a lot of people want God of War to win, but I got to keep it real with you God of War people, because it kind of was pissing me off. Listen, I love God of War. I've been playing God of War since the OGs, like the PS2, PS3 games, God of War 2, God of War 3. Even the PSP game I played on my dad's PSP when I was younger. I really do love God of War, and I love the reboot, the continuation, whatever it is, 2018's God of War game. I haven't played through all of it, played through probably about half, a little bit more. Really good game. Ragnarok, haven't played it yet, but like from everything I've been seeing, the game just looks really good. But Game of the Year, I don't know, man. I mean, it's a good game. I think it's a pretty simple game. I don't think it's really too much, I think the story looks great, the graphics look great. I'm sure it's a great game, but I think Elden Ring, the reason why I believe Elden Ring should have and eventually did win Game of the Year is because Elden Ring was truly like, just from like beginning to end, just a tremendous game. I mean, I'm a fan of the Souls games. I know not everybody is. It's a very difficult, game to enjoy. I've enjoyed all three of the original Souls games, or four if you count Demon Souls, even though I haven't beat any of them besides Dark Souls 1. I mean, I've definitely come close to beating the other ones, but like I haven't, because they're just difficult, but I love them. I love like the dark, gloomy kind of like, eerie vibes of the game, and just the kind of mysterious, vague story they give you. Because there is a story for all the games, but it's very kind of like, you fill in the blanks. Like, you kind of have to picture in your head, like, what was going on, what made this character do this, how did this character get here. Like, you walk across, this, land in Dark Souls 1, and you come across these people that are just lost, and like they just kind of give you these like few dialogue lines, and then they send you on your way. And you kind of have to sit there and think in your head, like, how did this person get here? I feel like a game like God of War, whereas Elden Ring is very similar to Dark Souls in that sense. I think much more of a story than other Souls games have had, besides like, the other ones like Sekiro and Bloodborne. But Elden Ring did that very well too, where it was kind of very mysterious. But God of War is kind of very straightforward, very simple, very, I'm basing this off of 2018, but from what I've heard, Ragnarok is very similar. Just obviously it's a continuation of the first game. But it's just very normal, I would say. I would say it's like an above average normal game. I think anybody can play that game. I think anybody can play Elden Ring. I'm not the best player. My cousin, who is like, doesn't really play games anymore, he enjoyed Elden Ring. He enjoyed, I think he struggled for like months to beat Margit, the first boss, the first real boss in the game. The first, I forget what they call it in that game. The, I don't remember what it's called. Whatever, the legendary boss or whatever. I can't. There's a name for it. And it's gonna piss me off, and I can't remember it. But whatever. Like the first main story boss, like, is Margit, and a lot of people struggle. I couldn't beat Margit for like a few days, but he struggled for like, I think, like a month or two. And he, when I saw him and like talked to him about it, he would tell me like, yeah, like it's really hard, but he was enjoying it, even though he had very little. He works a lot. There's a lot going on in his life, but he still enjoyed playing that game. And the small amount of time he has to play games, he would just sit there and just try to beat Margit. And then after that, it was Godric. And I don't know if he ever ended up beating the game or not, but I know he thoroughly enjoyed what he was telling me. So my point being is, I think anybody, whether you're somebody who can play hours and hours of a game and practice and get good at it, or if you only have a few hours a night to play, whether you're a seasoned Souls player or you're just kind of like me and just kind of played them and enjoyed them over the years. And again, like, just the kind of whole like fill in the blank story. But this Elden Ring had much more of a story than previous Souls games. It was a lot more straightforward and just kind of like, here's what's happening, here's why it happened, here's where you are, here's where you fit in the whole thing. But there was still a lot of the whole fill in the blank aspect, which I really like. Um, I think overall, just the open world, taking a Souls game, making it open world was just such a good idea. Like, that guy is a genius. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name because I'm gonna butcher it. But he's just he does makes phenomenal games, and I'm so happy Elden Ring won Game of the Year. I'm kind of pissed the Bill Clinton guy ruined it. If you don't know, if you live under a rock, this 15-year-old kid, I forgot his name's been released now, or his like online name, hopped up on stage. He just like waltzed up there with them when they were going up for their award. Just kind of stood in the background, made sure he was in the camera, shot the whole time. And I didn't think anything of it when he was on screen. I mean, I honestly thought it was like one of the developers' kids or something because I knew he looked young. But after it, they accepted the award, they did their speech and everything. I mean, I guess I'm glad he waited. But after everything's done, they start playing the music. Then he hops up on the mic and he goes, "Ayo, shout out to my reformed rabbi Bill Clinton," or something like that. I still don't know what that means. I heard this YouTuber Pyro is going to interview him pretty soon, so that'll be interesting to kind of get some more info on like why he did that. But again, it kind of took away from their whole Game of the Year moment, which is kind of shitty on their part, for them. I mean, but yeah, that was pretty shitty. But yeah, I'm glad they won Game of the Year. Kind of shitty that happened, but much deserved for the award anyway. And hopefully, I know we're gonna get some DLC. They just released the Coliseum DLC, which is like a PvP area, kind of similar to what they had in Dark Souls 2, I believe. Might have been 3, but I think it was 2. And the Coliseum update's been pretty fun. I'm interested to see what they do story-wise with DLC. These Souls games typically always have some form of DLC. And I know it's been pretty much confirmed at this point that there will be for Elden Ring, so that'll be pretty exciting. Other gaming news, I mean, like Warzone 2, Modern Warfare 2's out. I'm already bored of it. I see a lot of people complaining about Warzone 2. No slide canceling, that there was like some dolphin dive glitch where you could like fly across the sky. Like, well, not literally, but actually kind of literally, but not far. People are complaining that's gone. They're complaining about the loadouts and stuff. Listen, I loved Blackout. I was really excited when I heard they were going back to like a looting system, which I think they've pretty much scrapped. Like, there's no looting attachments and stuff like that. You can loot guns and different kinds of guns, like guns that have fully kitted or basically bare bones guns. And there is like ways to get loadouts still, so that's kind of your way of like building your own gun. They kind of locked it behind these random crates that drop. I believe the recent update has one like an area with AI and stuff. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I wish they would go back to just full like loot system like how Blackout was. I know if my fellow co-hosts were still here with me, they would agree. I know Matt anyway. He was a big Blackout enjoyer. I wish I played that game more when it was active. I try to play it now, and it's just like people who are just all level 1,000, like maxed out. Been playing the game since day one. I can't even begin to compete with that. But yeah, I mean that's essentially what everybody's complaining about with Modern Warfare 2. I think as far as multiplayer goes, people are just waiting for more content, more maps. They just added shipment, which is exciting. Shipment's always good for all you grinders out there, grinding for the camos and whatnot. I've grinded most of the camos out as far as gold. I just have a few more left to go. I'll probably pick that back up at some point. I'm just pretty bored of the game at the moment. I'm honestly not a big BR fan, so I really won't play. I really won't be playing Warzone too much anyway. DMZ is interesting. I'm interested to see what they do with that. I know they got raids now. Probably check that out. But yeah, Call of Duty is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's essentially the same concept every year. Rumored Advanced Warfare 2 next. The next release besides Treyarch. Treyarch will be in 2024. Possibly 2 years from then, we'll get a Sledgehammer game. Hopefully it's Advanced Warfare 2. That would be really cool to see Advanced Warfare on the new engine. Having a BR, having Advanced Warzone would be sick, with the jetpacks and stuff. I might be down to play that because it's kind of like in between Warzone and Apex, or a little bit more advanced. I don't know if there's jetpacks no. There's some of the character abilities that are like jetpacks and stuff. It'd be cool just to have an Advanced Warfare BR, and just to have Advanced Warfare back, that would be pretty cool. It's one of my favorite CODs. Recently I've done some introspection because I made some bold claims on my own YouTube channel about how Infinite Warfare was the best Call of Duty. I still stand by that, but Advanced Warfare, in my mind, it's got to be right there with it. I mean, Advanced Warfare was just so cool. It's just such a good game. Black Ops 3 too. I mean, I love Black Ops 3. Now besides Call of Duty, obviously some other big releases we had this year: Halo Infinite. Oh, that was last year, actually. Halo Infinite. I couldn't tell you what's going on with that game. I haven't played it. Don't know much about it. I know there's some new content that just dropped. I don't know what they're doing with that game. I'm pretty sure they have nobody playing it anymore, so I don't know what the point is. Not the point, but I don't know what they're doing is my point. And I don't really keep up with it. Overwatch 2 dropped. It was fun for a week. Sure, still people playing that. I'm just not really into competitive games right now. Like that's why I kind of stopped playing COD. I don't like trying, and the whole skill based matchmaking thing. Obviously you have to sweat if you want to get, if you want to get, go positive or get any kills. Obviously you don't want to just, you can somewhat relax because it's still COD at the end of the day, but you have to try a little bit, a lot of it most of the time to kind of get some kills and get some challenges done. But yeah, I've really kind of strayed away from competitive and like PvP oriented games lately. So Overwatch 2 haven't played much. They didn't change much from Overwatch 1, so I still like the game. I mean, it's still fun. Wish they kind of did more. I'm excited to see what they do with the PvE stuff. Um, I think beyond that, we have Chapter 4 for Fortnite. Pretty cool. Looks good. I know they're using the Unreal 5.1 now. The game looks beautiful. I think no build is the best thing they've ever added to that game. Don't play it much, but yeah, Fortnite no build, pretty cool. New season or new chapter rather, looks pretty interesting. As far as anything else with gaming, I really don't know what else is going on. I really haven't kept up. Quite a few games have come out. High on Life, Scorn. Scorn is a weird fucking game, man. I played a little bit of Scorn, maybe like 5 hours worth on stream, and that game was just weird. Like literally as soon as I ended stream that day, I was just like, I'm never playing that game again. It just made me feel so weird. Like I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, High on Life looks interesting. I'm interested to try that. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of the games I've been playing lately. It just reminded me because I had to watch back the whole episode of the video one because I know we doxed a few of our real life friends, so I had to bleep out their names and stuff. We were talking about like, oh, what are you playing right now? So kind of going off of that since it's fresh in my brain. I've been playing a bit of Zelda Breath of the Wild because I bought it, when it came out. I really haven't played it much. So I decided to start a playthrough on that. It's going pretty well. I'm still continuing my Skyrim playthrough as well in my own time. As far as like YouTube content, I've just streamed Turok, and the video is up for that now. Turok was really fun. It's a game on 360 I loved back in the day. Beyond that, not playing much, just kind of hopping around from game to game, trying to find the next thing. But mainly just sticking to Breath of the Wild and Skyrim. When I have some downtime, I'll lay on my couch and play some Skyrim. But not really playing much else besides that. I just tried Dark and Darker. That game's pretty fun. Interested to see where that goes. A little bit of WoW sometimes when I get bored. I grind out some levels, trying to get a character to 70 so I can do some PvP with my friends. Don't really feel like paying for a boost, although I may end up having to pay for one anyway. And that's pretty much it as far as games. Now for the interesting. Now we got the boring stuff out of the way. All the gaming news. So now to the real meat and bones of the podcast. We're going to be talking about how you can become a replacement host if the original host never returned from the dead, which obviously I don't think that's physically possible. Tragic, rest in peace. But yeah, if you want to be a replacement host, here are the qualities we're looking for. Now, obviously, everybody has their own role. I would say like the awkward, I have all these ideas in my head and I get like overconfident before we record or like do anything. And then like once we go live or like start recording, I just shut down and just kind of sit there. Like my video one, I'm literally going like this and like checking my shirt and like, rubbing the sweat off my head like 100 times. So I don't, I'm just like the awkward guy, as I'm saying. If we could find we could find like an awkward guy to replace me. Basically the only talents you would need is to be able to sit down for an hour and a half and just kind of laugh and make weird comments sometimes and just kind of sit there, maybe just sweat no matter what temperature it is. Like it's like 40 degrees in my room right now. And I'm sweating. I could take off the sweatshirt really and still sweat. So those are some qualities we would look for in a position like that. As far as replacing my fellow fallen co-hosts, starting with Chace. He was, again, the tech guy. He had the laptop. So some requirements right off the bat, you got to have a laptop, preferably from like the mid-2000s, like early 2000s I'm talking about, like 2005 maybe like a 2008 Dell laptop, something with Windows XP on it. Windows Vista would also be acceptable. Got to be slow as shit, full of like old, just like YouTube videos from 2011 and music that you downloaded from LimeWire and just random garbage that's just taking up space and slowing down the computer. You got to be really into like just something, I would say two good things to alternate between would be like racing and Fallout. Like if you could like alternate like halfway through the year, like semi-annual switch, like January to say June, July, you're like super into Fallout, and then like the rest of the year, you're just all foot to the floor, shifting gears, driving, racing, like everything else. Those are the things you should be interested in. Sorry, I accidentally muted the mic, so I had to do a little edit there. If you're as long as you're interested in those two things, from January to July and then July to you can do it in whatever order you want. If you want to be into racing in the winter and then Fallout in the summer, that's fine too. But those are two core interests you should have. So again, so far we got the laptop, we got the interests. What else? Gotta have a lot of money because you're like the financier of the podcast. You got to pay for all the equipment, the microphones, the cameras, the table, the chairs, travel expenses. Some of us used to live pretty far away. So I'm assuming if you're gonna live far away and come from far away, you gotta pay for the other host to make it to wherever we're recording. Because it certainly won't be my house. So somewhere else, you gotta have a nice house, nice garage setup, nice office, something along those lines, and just kind of pay for everything and expect to get paid back for none of it. Those would be some important qualities to have as a tech guy podcast member. The laptop is if you didn't have the other stuff and you're kind of your own person, had like a normal, or whatever, just your own personality, you gotta have the laptop though. If you have the laptop, we're good to go. That way you can make some fast edits, some quick Google searches to fact check the fellow co-hosts, and just kind of make sure we're all not spreading misinformation or disinformation. Two separate things, by the way. So that would pretty much cover Chace's old position. Again, he tragically died in a golf cart accident. Rest in peace, buddy. Next up, we got Matt. So you got to be kind of like a mysterious figure. We're looking for somebody who's got some like skeletons in the closet, like literally. Like you're like a ex hitman or like a some sort of like secret agent James Bond type figure, but now you're kind of like retired and just want to do like a random gaming slash like just talking podcast, just a talking good old fashioned talking podcast, my favorite kind. um yeah, and you just got to be really mysterious, just like a really mysterious kind, like the mysterious stranger from Fallout. Just gonna be like a really like just kind of like you don't know what they're gonna do next, like an unpredictable character. Like any moment they could just flip the table and walk out of the room, and you just wouldn't even know why. And the show just ends there. That's the end of that episode. You gotta be that type of guy. You just gotta be like really just kind of mysterious and surprising. Some other things you could bring to the table are, possibly. I'm trying to think. You got to be a grinder. You got to be somebody who's willing to grind. Because my man Matt, was a grinder. He would grind out everything he possibly could and just suck these fucking games dry. Like just nothing left to do. He would just suck everything out in a good way. I mean that in a complimentary way. So take Fortnite for example. You got to do every challenge. You can't skip one. You got to do every challenge. Okay, dailies, weeklies, monthlies, battle pass, the whole fucking kit and caboodle. You got to do all of them. Some other games to look out for. Halo 5. You got to go back to Halo 5 because I believe he was the max rank, which is like millions upon, like tens of millions of, maybe even hundreds of millions of XP. And you need to achieve that max rank. I believe it's Mythic. No, it's Mythic Warzone. It's a good way to get XP for Halo 5. I don't know what the top rank is actually called. But yeah, you gotta dump a shit ton of time in there. Again, good way to do that. AFK or like semi AFK, some Mythic War Zones on the weekends. Grind those out. Any other game you choose, just kind of pick some games and just grind them out, man. Just max rank every daily challenge possible. You got to be a grinder. You got to be willing to grind these games every week, every day, every month, every year. That way you can kind of keep us in the loop as far as like what the people are doing on the games. Like a game like Fortnite, like I don't play Fortnite, but Matt knew everything about it. Like he knew all the latest details and the challenges and the battle pass and the storyline and whatever. You just got to know it all. You got to be a grinder. You got to be into it. You got to be into games. And you got to be involved. You got to keep us in the loop. And that's pretty much it. I would say just a mysterious guy who's a grinder. You know, and I'll just leave it at that. He was just a good guy. Rest in peace. Sorry to the U.S. government for involving one of your best and brightest in our degenerate podcast. So what else we got? We got Robby, of course. Robby, I would say, what are some qualities I would look for a replacement for Robby? We got enthusiastic. He was an enthusiastic fellow. You got to be really about keeping the conversation going. Shifting smooth transitions from topic to topic, whether we're talking about gaming or government conspiracies. I believe we touched on that video episode. Voter fraud. I don't know what the fuck we were talking about or why we were talking about it. That episode was recorded in 2019, by the way. I hope I said that. But you just got to be a very well spoken, enthusiastic fellow. Just kind of, like I said, be able to transition from topic to topic very smoothly. Just kind of talk about anything. Like I said, we talk about a large variety of topics here. I mean, if I'm not here and I find a replacement for myself, then obviously you guys can kind of, you got to kind of be the guy who steers the ship, so to speak. Chace kind of holds it together. Matt's got the knowledge, and then you got to be the guy who kind of steers the ship. And I'm just kind of the guy in the background who kind of wants to do everything but can't do any of it properly, but mainly just handles the YouTube channels and the uploads and stuff. That you got to do. I guess for myself, I forgot to mention that. You got to be able to upload this there because the rest of those fucks never did any of that. And probably wouldn't even if I asked them because, I mean, why would they? But yeah, so back to Rob. You got to be enthusiastic. Got to be like a good conversational person. Um, what else? I mean, I'm gonna say there's got to be a height requirement for this position, because the rest of us are kind of like, we were pretty stoic, just kind of like tall figures. Maybe I would say the average height for me, Matt, and Chace is like, if we like average like the median, if you average us together, it's probably like 6'5", somewhere around there. So you got to be somewhere in like the 5'7", 5'7" range. I think that would be good. You got to be a kind of a mid height, enthusiastic, conversational fellow, and you just kind of you got to fill that role, so well because again you're like the captain. You're like steering the conversation when it gets too far out, when things go nuts, when we start talking about conspiracies and aliens and just other shit we shouldn't be talking about. You got to kind of steer it back. You not in like a harsh way, not like whoa, don't talk about that. You got to be like, listen, that sounds great, but how about this? And you got to kind of transition and segue right into the next topic and get away from the stuff that gets us like banned. So cause sometimes we can get a bit out there. Um, and that's I guess that would be it. Being roughly 5'7", 5'8", maybe on a good day. If you're all stretched out and um you gotta be enthusiastic and you gotta be a conversational fellow. That's pretty much it. And those are the qualities we're looking for, man. I say we because it's all these deaths are so sudden, but I would say I'm looking for that for my future podcast. And if my old co-hosts decide to rise from the dead on the third day, whatever that was in the Bible, and you come back, even I'll take one. I'll take one of them back. I'm uploading every Sunday, with or without new or old co-hosts. Um, excuse me, but I hope they find their way back to the living realm, perhaps. Um, I don't know. Perhaps they'll make it back. But if not, again, we are hiring. We're now hiring, and I would appreciate if you would take what I said into consideration before applying for the position. If you're just some regular dude or some really interesting, good-looking guy, I would say you gotta go. The position's not for you. This podcast is built for a very specific group of 4 people, possibly more. I do have some other friends I was interested to bring on as like co-hosts or like random spontaneous like co-hosts or whatever you want to call it. Um, but we'll see where that goes. So that's where, if you are going to apply for the position, that would be the qualities we're looking for. And I don't have an actual way to apply for the position. You can just apply in the comments on the YouTube video or on the Apple or Spotify reviews. If there is even, is there even reviews on Spotify? I don't even know. Just find some way to type something so that I'll see it, and then we'll get in touch that way. But that's pretty much it. I mean, that's what we're looking for. And it's been a good run, but unfortunately, life had other plans, and now they left me here by myself to kind of steer the ship in the meantime until I find their replacements, or possibly if they come back, which would be nice. Because training, I don't know if any of you have ever been like a managerial position or like a supervising position where you have to kind of train people. At my job, I'm not a manager by any means, but I have been in a position where I have to train somebody in my field, and it's stressful, man. Because then it's like, if you fuck up, and then that person looks bad, and then it looks bad on you because you're the one that trained them. And also, it's just like sometimes you just get people who just can't comprehend simple directions, and they just don't want to listen to you, or they just have it set in their mind they're going to do things a certain way. Maybe they've been on another podcast before. Maybe they hosted their own podcast and they got a way they like to do things. Well, not here, okay? Sometimes, you guys, may have your own opinions and ideas, which is great. We love ideas here at the Bad Luck Club podcast. But now that my fellow co-hosts have passed on to Sabengard, I am the captain. I am the supreme leader, the king. I sit on the throne of the Bad Luck Club podcast, and I will tell you what the fuck we're talking about. So don't come in here and say, "Hey, why don't we talk about, this whatever Nintendo game." I'll say, "No, we're not going to talk about that because Nintendo games are for children, and we're not going to talk about Nintendo games." And don't come in here. I don't know where I was going with that. Just listen. I run this now. Okay. So if you come in here with your ideas, I'm open to ideas, but don't be trying to steer the ship. Unless my old co-hosts come back from the dead, if it's just me and some new people, I'm the captain now. Dude, there's no more shared ownership. There's no more shared, choice of direction. If I want to talk about if mermaids are real or not for an hour and 45 minutes, guess what the fuck we're doing? We're talking about fucking mermaids. If I want to talk about aliens, or if I want to talk about, some new game I've played, if I want to talk about playing Transformers Fall of Cybertron for the Xbox 360 for 4 hours, guess what the fuck we're doing? We're talking about Transformers Fall of Cybertron for 4 fucking hours. Okay? So just get that through your head before you apply. Don't come in here thinking you're going to have creative control. Listen, again, I'm open to ideas. We love ideas here at the Bad Luck Club podcast. But you have no power. Only I have power. Unless my old co-hosts come back, then obviously we share power, because that's how things work when we're all here. But they're not here, so I have the power. And yeah, I mean that's basically it as far as the the application process. Again, just leave it down in the comments below on the YouTube channel. Just kind of figure out some way to get in touch, and we'll try to get you on the show. And there's not much else I feel the need to kind of touch on right now. I feel like I kind of hit it all. Kind of talked about some gaming news. We obviously started off the show with the tragic news of my fallen comrades. Just really weird shit, man. I mean, the government one, I understand. The U.S. government taking out Matt, I get. I completely understand why they would do that, why it was necessary. Tragic, but I understand it. But I mean, getting hit by a golf cart, I mean, Chace is just doing something he loved to do. He loves golfing. Loved, I should say, past tense. He loved golfing, and he was just out there just having a fun old 18, just swinging back on the course, or whatever the golf people are saying nowadays. And some, like I said, some local, I believe it was a local celebrity, Bon Jovi or Bruce Springsteen, was just out being a pretentious, rich celebrity on a golf course, drinking and driving a golf cart. Just took him right out, man. Just weird. Just life is just weird. And Robby's even weirder, A plane goes down. When you hear a plane goes down, you expect there to be hundreds, at no survivors. Everybody survived except for him. How the fuck do you explain that? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. It's like, I don't know. It's like they designed, say there's 300 people on a plane. It's like they designed 299 of the safest chairs possible that could withstand a literal plane crash. Flame proof, materials so it didn't burn up after, the engines exploded or whatever. And then they just made his chair like a piece of like plywood with like, rubber bands for straps or belts, like it's just weird. He's the only one. I mean, what? Just weird shit, man. Life's weird. Life can be very weird sometimes. And the tragic passing of my fellow co-host is no 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 stranger to that. I don't remember what the word is I wanted to say. But yeah, I mean, we're coming up on like 40 minutes here. I feel like that's pretty good for a solo episode. I managed to milk 40 minutes out of this. After some edits, because I believe there was a few points where I hit this little button here and muted the mic. We'll have to cut it down a bit, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, again, just rest in peace, my fellow co-hosts. Shout out Elden Ring, my favorite game this year, for winning Game of the Year. Shout out to Call of Duty for making another mediocre game that everybody's going to forget about in a year. Fortnite, you're killing it. Unreal Engine 5 looks pretty cool. 5.1, excuse me. And again, if you are looking, just a brief recap, if you are looking for a position in the Bad Luck Club podcast, again, we are looking for one tech-savvy, racing Fallout / Bethesda guy, just one of those. Just a very interesting, intricate guy who could kind of fill that role. We're looking for a very mysterious, elusive creature to fill a role in the podcast. Somebody who just kind of unpredictable, never know what they're going to do, never know if they're going to be here or not. Sometimes, I mean, you could show up for one episode every year and I'd be happy. Just a mysterious stranger. You got to show up for one episode, then not show up for 6 months. That's fine, And then, one other, type of position we're looking for is just like a 5'7", well-spoken, enthusiastic, just kind of cheery fellow, just kind of one of those guys. 5'6", I would accept. 5'5", between 5'5" and 5'8", I would say is fair game. And then if you want to replace me, if you want to make this a fully autonomous podcast where I can kind of sit back and cash the checks we're not getting because we are a podcast with under 20 subscribers on YouTube. But if one day it blows up, I would like to collect some checks for doing as little work as possible. I'll still maybe edit or something. I'll do something in the background. I'll make some thumbnails or something. But like, if you want to replace me, you just got to be able to. You got to have enough knowledge of YouTube to upload a video, to edit out any slurs or possible doxing that goes on, because we kind of use last names a lot, it seems. You got to be able to, figure out how to use RSS feed. Pretty simple. You upload it to the website and it just redistributes it. Holy shit, I fucked that word up. And you just, as far as being on the episode, if you're going to replace me, you just got to kind of be like an awkward kind of background, kind of like a people pleaser. Whatever the other guys you're talking about, or gals, we're not sexist here. If you're a girl and you want to fill this position, I mean, feel free. I mean, I don't know why the fuck you would want to do that, but sure, I'm open to it. But yeah, I mean, if you want to just kind of be the guy that's like, Robby will be, the Robby character, I'll say, because obviously Robby's not here anymore. The Robby character will be talking about something. You kind of turn to him and be like, "That's a great idea." Add a few sentences and turn to Chace and be like, didn't something like that happen in Fallout? And then kind of steer the conversation that way. And then when Matt flips the table and leaves or just doesn't show up, kind of comment on that and be like, "Hey, where's Matt today?" Or, "Man, Matt was really angry." I don't know, like, kind of what a mysterious guy. I mean, obviously his name's not, I mean, if your name's Matt and you apply for that position, even better. But, if you're not named Matt, then whatever, just replace Matt with your name. But that's just kind of how the dynamic goes if you're in my position. So if you can fill that, that'd be great. I would love to make this fully autonomous. Just kind of, you guys do all the work. I do not, none of it. kind of cash out on that, or just kind of see my podcast slowly grow over the years. While I do nothing, and it's basically not my podcast, but in spirit, it'll be mine and forever. My fallen comrades podcast, and you'll have no creative control and no real contribution to how we do anything, and it'll never be yours. It'll always be for me, Matt, Chace, and Robby, and you'll never replace them. But I do need you to replace them physically, but not spiritually. You'll never be. You might be able to. You probably can after a few episodes or so. But yeah, this has been the Bad Luck Club podcast, episode 3. If you're interested in a job, feel free to drop a comment below. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Spotify or Apple or one of the other websites, feel free to drop us a like. If you're on like SoundCloud or one of those weird websites, Spotify, Apple, just leave a review. Let the people know that we're the best podcast on the market, best up and coming gaming talking podcast. We're trying to push through that talking podcast category, just a podcast where you talk about stuff. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode.